Welcome to the All Clemson Tigers live show edition from Dockside here in Clemson, part of the Clemson Maven multimedia platform. We took the show on the road today.
And look at that view.
And look at that view. Come out and see us today, Dockside in Clemson, where we're hanging out for the next hour. And we decided to go on the road for the first time. And what better time of the month to do it than June? It's the Recruiting Blowout live show. Thank you so much for joining us. We are on all your multimedia platforms right now. We're streaming on Twitter. We're on Facebook. We are on YouTube. So please make sure you stick around for the next hour. We're going to have a lot of fun as we're kicking off our summer tour a little bit, if you will. I'll tell you more about that later on. I'm Brad Sinkov. I am joined over here by recruiting analyst of allclemsontigers.com, Jason Priester in the shades. You know what that means. Big recruiting news. Whenever he puts the shades on, you know something's about to go down. And he's wearing them today.
I brought the shades. I'm always asked about them. Everybody wants to see them. Here they are.
There they are. There's the shades. So he took them off. So we'll see what we can get into some more recruiting with Jason in just a moment. Also joined over here by publisher of allclemsontigers.com, Zach Lentz. And then on the far side, you know who he is, Will Vandervoort. One of our great writers there at allclemsontigers.com, and he's here to help us break down this 2024 Clemson recruiting class. We'll look above and beyond just this month. Excuse me. We'll look ahead to 2025. Look ahead to what's going to happen the rest of this year, and we'll break down all the big names in recruiting for you here for the next hour on the All Clemson Tigers show channel. Let's start, Jason, with you, because I want to get some thoughts from you on this 2024 class and what it is, what it's about, what does it mean for this program with what they've got. 13 hard commitments right now, still waiting on several more. But as you look at this class, it looks really good on paper, at least to me. Do you have the same big feel that I think this program has right now about these guys?
Yeah, I absolutely do. I think this recruiting class is, for me, is kind of centered around the skill guys and bringing some speed back to that wide receiver room. 2 big-time commitments already. TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco. That wide receiver room has taken a lot of criticism in the past couple seasons, and rightfully so. And I think this coaching staff has made an effort to address that, and we're seeing it in some of the results here in this class.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question about that in terms of, and we'll get to some of these skill players and get more of an idea of this class. Jason, I want to ask you this. If you're, for someone who has not kept up with Clemson recruiting, you obviously are an analyst, so you're doing this every single day. What is the theme for you so far about this group in terms of what Clemson's trying to, the philosophy of what Clemson wants to do with this class?
For me, when you're talking about Clemson recruiting, it always goes back to that culture of finding the guys who are the right fit. They preach it when they have these big recruiting events like the big official visit weekend in June, the cookout coming up later in July. It's all about family. And that culture, you can talk about it all you want. Until these kids get here on campus, experience, see it firsthand, you can't truly experience it until you've been here and felt it. Let's put it like that. I think that's the core of Clemson's recruiting message every year. Family first. You see it in Dabo Swinney's coaching staff. He takes care of his guys. It's not about developing you just on the football field. It's about developing you as a man. And once you're in this program, you're kind of tied to it for life. Again, look at Dabo Swinney's coaching staff littered with former players. It's just all about family, finding the right fits. And I think this is so far what we've seen jump on board in this class is a great example of the right fits for this school.
Well, I want to get to you here. You've been around Clemson a long time, and that is not – I'm not saying you're old.
I'm old.
No, that's not what I'm trying to insinuate, although you might be up there in some years.
Yeah.
We're all getting up there. It's okay. But you have been around this program for a long time. You've seen the ebbs and the flows in recruiting. You've seen it go from, the Sammy Watkins days to days where they weren't even in the top 25. So you've run the whole thing through Dabo Swinney's career for sure.
The Dandy Dozen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, go back to the Dandy Dozen and Taj Boyd and what that group meant for this program. How has recruiting changed in your mind and what Clemson's trying to do? Because this is a completely different time. It's post-COVID. We know COVID had a great effect on recruiting, not getting guys on campus. That's Clemson's big thing. But now NIL And there's the transfer portal also involved. Well, this doesn't have necessarily reflect directly on recruiting, but all of that's out there. It's changed the world that Dabo Swinney's recruiting in. How have you seen he and his staff maybe change their messages over the years?
Yeah, so the main thing was I think they still had their core, their foundation, which is high school recruiting. That's not going to change. We do know that about Coach Swinney. He's talked about that several times. But what has changed, as you mentioned, is the NIL and how they approach that. And we've seen a brand new building over there in the West End Zone the football facility that has gone up now, that is dedicated strictly for branding, to show the recruits when they bring them in. Now it's no longer you show them the school and you show them the football stadium and you show them the weight room. Now you go and you show them the branding institute, as it's called. And so that's one way they've changed. And Dabo's kind of, Clemson was the first school in the country to have an NIL branding institute. It's the very first one. So that tells you how fast Dabo Swinney's like, hey, I got to adjust. I'm going to go with it. We're going to be the first ones to do this. And they got a brand new facility, state of the art, that debuted this spring.
Yeah, NIL, big deal. Jason, are you hearing much when you talk to these recruits? How much does NIL come up with Clemson in particular?
Very rarely. I've even asked about NIL specifically with some of these guys, and with the majority of these players that I've talked to, it's kind of a back burner thing. They all say similar things. They know where the long money is, that they're not too worried about the short money. They can get NIL anywhere that they're looking to be developed and those kind of things. So, again, I think it goes back to that culture Clemson's created here. Goes back to finding the right fit for the program. And I think this coaching staff does an excellent job at maybe weeding some of those guys out who are looking for NIL first and foremost.
We've got to get to some of these guys, some of the players in this class. Zach, I want to ask you, when you've looked through this class, does it have the big name feel? Jason talked about some of the more playmaking, sort of high-end talent. Does it feel like some of the old days of maybe not, I'm not comping players necessarily, but you think about guys like Sammy Watkins, who we just mentioned, Mike Williams, and even a Travis Etienne, a T. Higgins. Does it have that kind of feel to it a little bit so far?
Yeah, I think it does, simply because you have, inside, or you have a coming from a guy like Ryan Olesko and TJ Moore. These are both 4 or 5-star guys who, are game changers. These are plug-and-play guys who can come in and, challenge for a starting spot immediately. And that is something that Clemson's lacked. Especially the receiver core, is those guys that can come in and immediately have an impact on the game. You saw a little bit with Adam Randall until he was hurt. And Antonio Williams last year was a good example of that. But these are two guys that should get the fan base excited. And then you have a guy like Sammy Brown who's coming in, and he is a game changer at linebacker. I know that we are going to dive into him a little bit, but he is the kind of guy that is a program-defining defensive player.
Absolutely. I could not agree more. And we will get to those people, those folks, those big name recruits. We're here to analyze. That's what you want to hear. You want to hear Jason Priester break them down. You want to hear Will Vandervoort's thoughts, Zach Lentz, and myself as well, as we're going to run through a lot of these big names. So please stay tuned for that. That's what you're here for. Plus, you got to stick around to find out what's going to happen after we're done. It's June the 28th. So there's a lot that's going to happen to Clemson recruiting as we head into the month of July. But we're outside here at Dockside in Clemson. Come by and see us if you're in the Clemson area, you're watching live. Stop in. We've got some great giveaways to give you, some free stuff, some swag. We got some of these koozies. Everybody loves a koozie, especially during the summer, especially before football season starts. Come hang out with us and take advantage of that. Before we get into breaking down these recruits, I want to remind you, go to allclemsontigers.com. But make sure you're following our YouTube channel. We put so many great videos up there. Jason's been killing it lately, putting up every time a recruit makes an official announcement. Jason's all over it. He's giving you analysis in real time, like instantly minutes after the announcement comes out. So make sure you're following us on that YouTube channel to get shows. Jason's got the Monday live show that's a big hit. It's growing each and every week, and I can't thank enough of you out there for helping it grow. You've done a great job participating in that show, and you're going to have a chance to participate in this show as well. Stick around for that. We'll tell you about the Q&A coming up in just a little bit. But go and make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel. And we got some other stuff coming up. We're going to be doing some season preview, look ahead type of things. We've got a retrospective look that Will Vandervoort and I might be involved in coming up here.
That's a core word there. I mean, you're out here throwing out these PhD words.
Yes. You like that, don't you? That's what we're here to do today. We're here to inform people, make them feel smarter after this show is over. But yes, follow us on those channels, at All Clemson Tigers channel. We're going to be bringing you shows all summer long. Stay tuned for that. And make sure you download the podcast as well, wherever you download your podcast. We'll take care of you on your commute in and out of work as much as we possibly can. All right, let's get into analysis of the 2024 class. Let's start with the top end talent. Let's get to some of the big names here. And I want to start there first, Jason, because we always like news. Breaking news fuels us in what we do at allglimpsetigers.com and what we do on these channels. So I want to ask you, break down the news from yesterday as Ricardo Jones, the safety, made it official that he is going to commit and down the road sign with the Clemson Tigers. Tell us more about this safety and go through sort of what happened yesterday during his controversial live announcement.
Yeah, I don't think he made many fans in Tennessee yesterday. He made his announcement from his high school there in Warner Robins, Georgia, 4-star safety. Probably one of the better safeties in this class, 6'3", already over 200 pounds. Very, very good ball skills, but he's making his announcement, and it's kind of, everybody always assumes it's going to be Clemson. All the recruiting sites have their crystal balls, yada, yada, yada. And here he goes and takes the hoodie off. He's got on a Tennessee shirt. He kind of holds it for a minute, and lets it sit. Not a minute, but, he lets it sit there for a second.
Let's just simmer.
Yeah.
Let's simmer.
He grabs the Clemson hat, takes that T-shirt off, got another Clemson shirt on, and it fueled a little bit of hate on Twitter yesterday.
A little bit. Yeah. Tennessee fans were a little irate at Ricardo Jones. What kind of player is he? What did Clemson get with his commitment yesterday?
I think they got this is another Clemson's second safety commitment in this class. He joins Noah Dixon, who committed earlier in the cycle. But I think this gives Clemson two extremely good safeties. Again, he's long, he's athletic, he's got great ball skills. He can play up close to the line of scrimmage if you need him to. Very physical for safety. There is a lot to like about this kid, and I can't wait to see what happens when Mickey Conn gets his hands on him.
Zach, what did you think about that commitment style?
I loved it. I loved every second of it. This is a kid out here that is trying to just have some fun. Let the kid have his fun. Let him have his moment. So you got some butthurt, Tennessee fans out there who are out there making themselves look like fools with some stuff they are, putting out there. And, it's one of those things where, in this day and age, if you can't have fun with this stuff, you need to get off your lawn. Right?
Will, speaking of getting off my lawn, guy, do you have any problem with what the young man did yesterday?
Yes, he does.
He doesn't like it. You can tell him to go to space. Look. Here comes the rant. Here we go.
Everybody's like, look at Will. Get off my lawn, okay? No, I mean, I'm fine with it. I mean, he's just having fun. He's a young man. It's his moment. It's his spotlight. Not all of us would do it the same way. I think we all do it different. That's the way he wanted to do it. But, I like this young man. I like his, if you will, his swag, if you will, because that shows a lot of confidence to do something like that. And that's the kind of guy Clemson's looking for, especially in that back end. And, I've been really impressed with what they've done with these defensive backs lately and the caliber of safeties they're bringing in.
Yeah, absolutely agree. All right, let's get to one of the big names here, Jason. The guy that people want to hear about, Sammy Brown. Zach talked about him earlier. A big-time linebacker, one of the top players in the class of 2024. Give us your assessment. What is Clemson getting from a guy that plays multiple sports and doesn't just play multiple sports? Let me be clear here. Excels and wins at multiple sports.
Yeah, Zach nailed it earlier. Game changer. This is one of the best pure athletes in this class. I got it wrote down right here. Excels not just plays, but excels at multiple sports. He's a wrestler in wrestling. He excels at track and field. 6'2", 230 pounds, and he is strong as an ox. And he moves so well for a guy that side. Horizontal, vertical, sideline to sideline, doesn't matter. Eyes always in the right spot. Clemson needed to hit on a big-time linebacker in this class, and this kid right here, they just knocked it out the park with him.
Can't wait to see what this guy looks like. He's very much the mold of what I think you personify big-time college linebackers, and the way that he can just – he's fast. He can move. He can do a lot of different things. Well, the fact that he plays 3 sports I think is really interesting, and I talked to a local high school coach back a couple of months ago, and we were just kind of discussing. I said, hey, you got your guys in the weight room. They're working out. What they doing? He said, oh, they're playing ball. They're playing baseball. They're wrestling. They're doing whatever. He said, I highly encourage that. In fact, I want my guys to play because you keep that competitive spirit for an entire year. It's not just football and then I'm going to work out really hard. How big a deal is that? That's something kind of old school that, growing up, everybody played multiple sports, but now everything's become so specialized. What do you hear when you think about a guy like Sammy Brown who excels at all of these?
It just tells me, first of all, about his competitiveness, because you got to have the want to go and do that and not just compete and say, oh, I'm just doing this so I can stay in shape for football. But to do, like Jason said, to go win 2 gold medals in wrestling, to be a state champion, those kind of things, that's what's important about it. And then just the fact that he wants to play more sports shows that he has a desire to just compete all the time. And that's what, to me, that's the kind of guy I look for, because that's going to tell me how hard he's going to work and what he's going to bring to the table.
Yeah. Before we move on, Jason, I want to ask you, where does he fit? What position? Clemson, runs 3 different linebacker positions, one of those sort of a hybrid. Where do you see Sammy Brown in his future with the Tigers?
I think he will excel in an off-the-ball kind of role. He's just so athletic, so fast. He's already got excellent cover skills.
He can even play offense.
Yeah,
I was fixing
He's
to
a
say,
running back. He's pretty good running back.
there are a lot of people who think he could be a Power 5 running back. He's already rushed for over 3,500 yards in his high school career. He just does a little bit of everything. But I think he can excel in like an off-the-ball type role.
All right. Well, Clemson's played some defensive guys at running back in their day. Maybe, Dabo likes to get a little tricky. You never know what might happen. You like that idea, Zach?
Yeah, I like that. Give me that jumbo package. Give me Sam.
He's not as jumbo as the old jumbo package now. He's no Christian Wilkins running downhill 2 miles per hour turns into 50 real fast.
Yeah, he's more like, a little bit faster than a jumbo. That looked like it anyway. I don't think Christian Wilkins could do that.
All right, a guy who will factor into the offense, and Zach was talking about it earlier, guys who were built to play right away, Bryant Wesco, TJ Moore, 5-star, 4 and 5-star type receivers here that are coming into Clemson. We'll see where they end up in terms of the stars when it's all said and done. But Jason, what kind of game changers are these 2 guys? And as Zach was mentioning earlier, are they, in your opinion, plug and play right away type of talents?
I think both are plug and play type talents. I think they are going to help this offense tremendously. It has struggled with those chunk plays in recent seasons, pushing the ball down the field. Both of these guys are receivers that make plays down the field. They make contested grabs. They have excellent hands. Bryant Wesco in particular is, fantastic when it comes to high pointing the ball. He can stretch the field vertically. And they both, I know Wesco's the one that gets talked about for his speed, but don't overlook TJ Moore's speed. He's got some wheels too, clocked at 21.8 miles per hour in the 96th percentile.
Close to what I think Will is clocked at.
Yeah,
Close,
absolutely.
close.
Very close. I'm a little bit faster. But
So how fast does that make Matt Conley when you raced him?
Matt's like 28 miles an hour.
Okay, yeah. All right. I tell you what, then we'll end that part on that note. And before we get back into some breakdowns and analysis of more players, I want to remind you to go to our All Clemson media platforms. Our social media platforms. We've got Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. allclemsontigers.com. We got it all for you, bringing you news and analysis. But we want you to follow us on those social media accounts because you get a ton of what you get updates from recruiting that Jason's bringing. Will broke news this week about Greg Williams. So you want to hear that first. You want to get it first. You want to see it first. Make sure you're following us on all your social media platforms there on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and also the YouTube channel, so you can get all of our videos immediately. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. It does a lot for us. We can't thank you enough for doing that. So please help us out there. All right, let's get into some more analysis here. We got a ton of players, so we're just going to kind of start running through some of these guys. Let's stick with the offensive side of the ball. Clemson get a tight end in this class, Jason. What can you tell us about that and where he fits in? Maybe compares to some of the times, because that's such an important position now in football. I didn't say college. I didn't say NFL. I didn't say high school. I didn't say Pee Wee League. In football in general, you got to have a tight end. What is Clemson getting in then Christian Benker?
One of the better tight ends in this class, probably one of the 10 best. He is a top 100 player, in my opinion. Very high ceiling.
Wow.
6'5", 240 pounds already. Hasn't even played his senior season yet.
Wow.
I talked about kind of focusing on those skill positions earlier, and this is another example of that. I'm kind of reloading that tight end room, getting ready for maybe when Brenningstool's gone. But he's another guy. He makes catches in traffic. You can split him out wide. He had 1,000 yards as a junior and as a sophomore. So, I mean, he's just a guy that makes plays.
No question. You have to have these nowadays. If you don't have a tight end, then you're almost just giving away yardage on the field, or at least giving away defense looks, because tight ends stretch the field for everybody else. They make it easier for guys to get down the field and get deep.
Yeah, you got to have the athletic tight ends. And let's be honest, when Clemson's been at its best, you look at a Dwayne Allen, you look at a Jordan Leggett, a Michael Palmer. That's when their offenses have been at their best with those kind of tight ends. And that's what you hope you're getting here with this guy, this young man. I'm sorry about Davis Allen. I forgot he's in the pros now. He was really good too.
He was pretty good, yeah.
They got – this is another young man that they can add to that Brenningstool. I think is the kind of guy that I think can have that kind of year, and then you bring this guy in next year to kind of fall right behind him.
All right, one more offensive player I want to get to, and we'll switch to our defense. Jason, they got a running back in this class
Let's
too.
Hear it. I want to hear this.
You want me to try to say it? David Azumame.
David Ajamume.
Ajamume. I was close.
I had to ask him.
Okay.
How much have you practiced is the question.
A lot.
Okay.
I was butchering it.
Ajamume. So it's more like an Ajamume. Got it. We nailed it. See, that's why you got to watch us today, because we just taught you how to say his name.
Yeah,
so now you will learn. You can sit at home and practice it too, folks.
I guarantee you I'll forget it before the show's over.
All right, what are they getting in David Ajamume? See, I can't even get it on the third try.
Yeah, CJ Spiller really likes Ajamume. I think he's another one. I got one of these guys that is just a perfect fit for this culture. He's got speed. He runs the 110.98, I think it is. He's got field vision, very patient runner. Maybe fairly underrated when it comes to the rankings and stuff. Has not yet had the opportunity to be the guy at his high school. He's going to get that chance this year. So we will really get a good look at what he can do. But what I have seen on film, there is a lot to like about David Ajamume.
Let's go now to my favorite position to talk about when it comes to Clemson Tigers, because they've just turned this into a factory over the last decade, and it just more and more play. You can even go beyond a decade, but certainly in the last 10 years, you look at the defensive line and what Clemson has produced. NFL talent. We just saw Miles Murphy be a first-round draft pick. KJ Henry goes to the NFL. You've got Christian Wilkins out there making, he's about to make big-time money. You've got Dexter Lawrence. You got Austin Bryant. I mean, Dexter Lawrence signed a massive contract. These are big-time. These are big-time. Clemson's known for their defensive line, right, Zach? I mean, is that the first thing you think of when you think defense?
Yeah, it used to be, they're wide receiver. And now I think they're D-line. I mean, you just have to go, to the past few years to look at the NFL talent that they have turned out. And it's really a credit to his coaching staff and their willingness to do the work, to go out there and get the guys that they know will not be the sexiest signings. These aren't wide receivers or 5-star running backs or quarterbacks. These are the guys that ultimately will win you championships. So,
all right, what are they getting in these? They got 3 defensive linemen in this class right now. Break down those 3 guys.
Start with 4-star defensive tackle Heaven Brown Schuler, 6'4", 290 pounds. He projects to play on the interior at this level. Just killed it on the camp circuit. Probably one of the better defensive tackle prospects in this class. He just eats up space, and he can get after the quarterback when you need him to. Picked up defensive tackle Champ Thompson earlier in the recruiting cycle. Probably a little bit more raw than Schuler is at this point. Played a lot of defensive end in high school, but he's got a lot of skills, a very quick first step, and can get after the quarterback the same way Schuler can. Then you got defensive end Darian Mayo, who just committed last week. Mm-hmm. This is a guy,
big man, by the way, large man,
yes,
not boy. I'm not calling him a boy.
6'7", and I thought Clemson was going to make an effort to get bigger, longer at defensive end in this class, and this guy's an example of that. He is explosive. His first step is just so impressive. You turn on the film, man, you kind of just have to. By the end of it, you're picking your jaw up off the floor. There's just so much.
Imagine Gaines Adams, but about 4 or 5 more inches.
Yeah.
That's what he is.
He's already over 250, right? I mean, what do you think he's weighing right now? Any idea?
I've got him at 250.
6'7", 250. He's already got, and that's the thing. What Clemson is doing at defensive front. This is why they're plugging and playing at that position, because the guys are physically ready to walk on campus and play. It's not that they're having to, put on extra 15, 12. They still get some of those guys as well, but the meat of their defensive lines are guys who can play right away. We'll talk about those 23 guys down the road. Not yet. We'll save that for a later day. No, hold on. All right, Jason, let's get to just a couple more here. Cornerback in this class, the boy Fegan, what do you make of him?
Typical Mike Reed corner, long, athletic, going to need to put on a little bit of weight when he gets to this level, but he's got excellent coverage skills, a lot to like there. Great addition to this cornerback room. Clemson's going to still look to add one more, but a great start with Fegan.
All right, those are the big names, if you will. Maybe the more 4 and 5 star. Did I leave anybody out that we needed to hit on as 4 and 5 star? I think that covered just about everybody. Will, I want to ask you, is Clemson in your mind still a developmental program? Because that's something that it feels like a lot of college teams have gone away from. There are some developmental guys. You just heard Jay say there's one of the defensive guys is Raw, how he described him. There's there's room for, I think, a couple more 3-star type talents that aren't going to blow people away, maybe. But does Dabo Swinney still view his program in that manner as developmental?
Absolutely. Again, go back to what they want to do. They still want to build that foundation off the high school kids and bring them in here and develop them into professional football players. Also, nice, good young men, as Jason brought up at the very beginning. So it's a thing where they're developing them in different ways, not just on the football field, but also in the community and his husbands and his fathers one day.
Zach, does Clemson need another Hunter Renfrow in this class? I mean, do they need one of those unsung, quiet guys? I mean, it feels like they're going away from that, or do you think that's still an element that Dabo Swinney wants to try to bring out?
Well, I think you have one right there in Drew Woods. He is a guy that I think is very underrated, and you only have to look back to last year to his brother. He wasn't a 5-star guy. He kind of waited his time as guys got upset and started getting benched and stuff. He saw his opportunity and he jumped on it. So I think, a guy like Drew Woods is a great example of Dow sticking with his philosophy of development. And this is something that is not, a one and done kind of thing for Clemson. It is who they are. It's what they believe in. They are not going the route of Florida State where they are trying to, buy championships and bring in tons of guys out of the portal for, a season or two. Dow wants these guys to be invested and just, be around for the long term. So I think Drew Woods is a great example of a guy like a Hunter who I could see, sitting for a couple of years and then, emerging as a playmaker. In fact, Jason mentioned, I think it was yesterday, that he believes that Drew is more polished at this stage than his brother.
Wow.
Is that not correct?
I absolutely believe that. Maybe a little bit more polished was than Wade was coming out of high school.
Fascinating because of just how good Wade Wood is in his first year. Drew on the way, and we'll certainly keep track of that. We're going to get to, I think, one of the most anticipated segments of today's show in just a few moments. You do not want to miss talking about what's next for the 2024 class. We'll do that. But first, I got a great team up here with me. Jason, Zach, and Will. You can also be a part of our great team here at allclemsontigers.com. If you would like to advertise, join the team, be a part of us. We want to enhance your business, local business, national, big, small, doesn't matter. Get in touch with our guy, EJ Taylor. He's sitting over here right now, hanging out with us today. We appreciate EJ and all that he does. His email is ej@clemsonmaven.io. That's ej@clemsonmaven.io. For inquiries, please email him and let us know what you want to do. We love to bring more videos to get to as we're going throughout the summertime. All right, we got to get back into it because we're going to run out of time. I want to keep this thing around an hour for you today, and we've got a chance for you to get in and be part of the show with a Q&A.
Whoa,
this is a bonus round. Let's go.
Felt like I was on a ride at Disney World or something just then.
All right, this is probably going to be one of the most anticipated
Let's
parts
get
of the show. What's next for the Clemson Tigers? How will they fill out the rest of this 2024 class? When to expect more commitments? Jason, I want to start with you on this one. First off, what's the number we're looking at here for Clemson in 2024?
Yeah, I think we're going to be somewhere in the 21, 22, 23 range when it's all said and done. Clemson still needs to add. They're still looking for the first offensive line commit, want to take 3. Again, still need another corner, another defensive end. So once we get to December, I think we're going to be 21, 22, 23, somewhere in that range. You know, that number is always fluid. We could have somebody leave in the middle of the season or something and see that number spike a little bit. But that is my initial thinking as we sit here today.
All right, put on your Swami hat here. Let's make some predictions. When do you think the next commitment is coming, and how busy will July be? Because there's the All-In Cookout coming up. Guys have made their official visits. It's a dead period. So now they're going to sit back and evaluate their options and talk about it with their families and really think this stuff through. When could Clemson get busy again with some names?
Put your shades on, not your Swami hat.
Yeah. The people want to see the shades on.
Yeah.
That means something's coming.
Let's see it.
No shades today.
Oh, no shades. Nothing's coming today.
Nothing's
Then
coming
folks.
today or tomorrow.
It's like the groundhog over here.
I do think there are in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
We might start to see some movement. Some of these offensive linemen are fixing to start making decisions. William Sider-White, he's down to Clemson, Tennessee. He's expected to make an early July decision. Fletcher Westfall is supposed to announce on July the 10th, I think it is. 4-star guy. Visited Clemson, Georgia, Florida and Arkansas, excuse me. So he's kind of down to 4. And of the 6 offensive linemen that were here that first weekend in June, I think those are the 2 Clemson sits in the best position with at this point. Those are the 2 that I am tracking the most. So decisions from them coming. I think it's very possible that we get a decision from Mike Matthews before we get to the end of July too. That's the guy everybody asks about the most, 5-star athlete. One of the best players in this class. Clemson, Tennessee. Not sure how much Southern Cal's in it, so I think they're in it. Not sure how much, but I get asked all the time which way he's leaning, and I honestly have no idea.
Does he know? I mean, do you think he has an inkling right now?
If he does, he's doing a very good job of finding it. They play things very close to the vest. Talking to some people, I know his family, particularly his mother, loved it up here when they came up here that first weekend in June. But, is that enough to kind of win him over? The talk has been he's going to make this decision himself. It's going to be up to him. How much sway will she have over him at the end of the day? Who knows? There's a lot to like about what Tennessee's doing on offense over there. So it's going to be – we don't get a lot of surprises in recruiting anymore. By the time decision day rolls around, we tend to kind of at least have a very good idea which way a kid's going. Maybe this is one of the times where we get one of those surprises.
Hey, I wanted to ask you about the offensive line. Thomas Austin has been catching a lot of flack from Clemson fans for not locking up an O-line committee yet. How important is it for him to come out of the summer with at least one guy, locked up for the 24 class?
Offensive line recruiting has been a little bit weird this cycle. Clemson didn't get there first in 2023 till the first weekend in June. Then they got one the end of June and then one on the 4th of July. So they were done with offensive line by mid-July. As we sit here at the end of June today, no offensive line commits. But I thought Thomas Austin did a fantastic job with the class last cycle. 3, blue chip guys with very high ceilings. We'll just have to see who Clemson ends up with. It's easy to criticize right now, and I think Clemson's going to end up expanding the board at some point. The cookout will be a perfect opportunity to maybe possibly get some new targets in here at the end of July if you've expanded by then. But I get it. Fans are frustrated. They want to see these offensive line guys starting to jump on board. But I would just say have a little bit of patience and see who you end up with, where you start worrying too much about who you miss.
Have a little faith in me just popped in my head.
Are you thinking 3? Is that the number?
I think 3's the number.
All right. Rest of the summer into the school year in August, guys nowadays like to come in and get that thing out of the way and be able to move on and just enjoy their senior seasons. So how many do you think, just ballpark a number before the summer is over, and then maybe what's going to be, that all the hay won't be in the barn. What will Clemson need to do the rest of the way during the fall?
I think most of the class will probably be done by the end of the summer. I don't think the entire offensive line class will be locked up. Not sure they'll be done at defensive end by the end of the summer. A couple of guys, that are on the radar. They're going to wait on Edric Houston to see what he does. 5-star guy out of Buford. A lot of people have him leaning towards Ohio State. Not supposed to announce a decision till late in August. So still a long ways to go with him. If he's still undecided by then, you try to get him back on campus end of July here for that cookout, see if you can sway him back in your favor. But if you miss on him, you got to expand the board. I think Solomon Williams, Elias Williams are 2 guys that are on the radar. Touch base with Elias. He said he thinks if he gets back here for a visit, it'll be in the fall. So, there's probably a handful of guys that we'll still be waiting on when the fall comes, 3, 4, maybe 5. I think offensive line and defensive end are probably going to be those positions.
All right, stay tuned. We are going to get to questions from our audience. We got a lot of folks online watching us live, and they got questions. So, Jason, be ready for that Q&A coming up. You don't want to miss that part. I promise you we're going to get as many questions as we possibly can. But before we do that, we're not just talking 2024, because the busy month of June has led to a couple of 2025 announcements. We'll get to those in just a few moments. But first, I want to encourage you, please, go to our website. Check out allclemsontigers.com. We're going to have a ton of recruiting stories, free recruiting stories from Jason Priester over here. It's incredible value, wouldn't you say? Free?
It's free. It's for me.
Yeah.
Free is a great value out there right now, folks. So make sure you get allclemsontigers.com.
Yes.
Jason's going to keep you updated.
No inflation here.
Yeah, that's right. You want inflation out there, you won't get it here at allclemsontigers.com. So go to the website, check that out. Plus, we're getting into the July months. We're going to start previewing the season. We'll have all kinds of big news going on with ACC kickoff coming up in July. We'll be live on the scene there. So you want to go to allclemsontigers.com, and we'll help get you ready for the Clemson Tigers 2023 season. Let's jump ahead. Let's move to the future. Will, do you have a DeLorean?
Yeah,
We hop in. Yeah. All right, we're going to hit the flux capacitor, and let's go to 2025.
Come on, Doc. Let's get in.
Take us to 2025, Jason. I want to get into the 2 names who have already committed. One of those, obviously, is a quarterback. But what is Clemson trying to accomplish thus far with 2025? 2 names on the board. I'm not asking for numbers per se. That's not what I mean. But what do you think the emphasis is going to be on 2025 was the quarterback sort of the first sign of that?
Yeah, I think we've seen it's going to be offense. Garrett Riley, offense.
Yeah.
And you didn't get any of the quarterbacks you sort of centered in and focused on in 2024. So you wanted to get one of your top targets in 2025. Now you've done that with Blake Hebert, 4-star guy out of Massachusetts. Big guy, 6'3", 215 pounds, and he is every bit of that 215 pounds. I watched him work out here at camp a few weeks ago. He is really impressive. Wasn't really on my radar before that weekend, but watching him throw, he's so accurate. Threw 1 interception last year, 24 touchdowns, 1 interception, just makes good decisions with the football. And he's got such a fluid throwing motion. Seems like the perfect fit for this offense.
What about running back, Jason? We'll come back to quarterback in a moment. But did C.J. Spiller land an even bigger impact player in 2025 than did in 2024 in that running back room?
I believe he might have. They were all in on Gideon Davidson from the jump. He was the guy in this class, was always going to be the guy in this class. And anybody that follows Clemson recruiting knows they don't start offering kids until June before the start of their senior season. Gideon Davidson was just waiting on that offer. When he got that offer, that was going to be it, ball game. And I know he didn't announce it for another week, but he told him on the phone the day that they offered. He was committing. He was on board. It was over with. He was up here at camp working out too before he went public. So that was a pretty good sign with him. But you want to talk about perfect cultural fits. That's this kid. I've had a couple conversations with him. He's all about team. It is team first. There is no me with this kid. Never wants to talk too much about his personal accomplishments. It's all about team accomplishments and what the team, how many wins, how much we going to win.
Yeah, you need to check out Jason's story on Gideon Davidson. It's very insightful into who he is as a young man, what his priorities are right now as he's already committed to Clemson for the 2025 class. Will, I want to come down there to you for a moment. Clemson is not getting a 2024 quarterback. Doesn't look like it. We know that this is Cade Klubnik's team this year. We expect for a couple of years. Chris Vizina's in the fold. He came in the 2023 class. He went through spring ball already. There's going to be a little bit of a gap there with nobody in 2024. And, some people think you should recruit a quarterback every year because how volatile the position is in terms of a transfer portal. Yep. How important is it that Blake Hebert is the guy now for 2025 and sort of fills that gap? Clemson also could add another one. We'll get to that in a moment. But it feels like this is pretty big need here for the Tigers.
This is big, and it really is, because when you look at what they got coming down the pipeline in the next few years, this is the guy they're pretty much saying at this moment, because we don't know if they're going to bring one for 2025. But being that the fact that don't look like they're bringing one in 2024, this is the guy. So you're kind of saying, okay, this is going to be – you're going to have the opportunity to be the man when it's all said and done here in a few years. And they're kind of setting that, that pipeline up of how the transition is going to go. And so you really can't miss here. Now, I like what Jason said. I didn't know about the kid at all until I talked to him after it happened. I was like, who's this kid, man? Tell me about him. And he's like, man, I'm going to tell you, he's accurate. He's like, I've never seen a guy this accurate. He's like, blew me away. I didn't know who he was until he got to camp and all this. And so, one thing we do know about Gary Riley is he recognizes talent early, even when he was at SMU and TCU. So you got to trust that he's already seeing what some people haven't seen yet. And I think it's a matter of time for other people probably start jumping on this kid. But Clemson's already got him pretty early.
Good stuff there. Thanks, Will. Jason, or go to Zach now. Well, I'll go back to Jason in a moment because I do have another question for you. But Zach, Garrett Riley, this is his first impact position player. This is his guy. He's the quarterback coach. He's the new offensive coordinator. He goes out and he identifies his guy in camp. He offers him. He lands him. This feels like, the big story, the big move for Garrett Riley. Is Garrett Riley going to be the coach at quarterback when Blake Hebert shows up on campus in 2025?
No.
Oh, no. You just spoiled a lot of hearts and minds.
Yeah, you're talking 3 years down the road. I don't see how Garrett Riley's here. I know a lot of Clemson fans want to think, he is going to be here for 5 or 6 years. However, he is one of the up-and-coming coaches. He has NFL aspirations. He also has college aspirations. He could basically write his own ticket if he does what he did at TCU. here at Clemson.
But that means a lot of success. That's good for Clemson.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
if he has that kind of success where he gets offered a job and he never coaches Blake Heber, then I'd say it was a home run for Dabo Swinney.
Oh yeah. You have to, look at this. You asked me, is he going to be the coach when he gets here? I don't think he is. I think Riley is fully invested. I think he's a Tiger right out through and through. When those dreams and stuff can become a reality, and you have the opportunity to make a jump to run your own program, I think he'll do it.
Interesting. Jason, prospects of any other 25 quarterbacks joining this class, or is this Hebert only?
I think it's going to just be Hebert.
Okay.
If there is a possibility, if there's a possibility of you adding another quarterback later, not sure that helps you land Hebert this early in the cycle. That kind of hurts you if he knows you're going to take two.
Yeah.
And the coaching staff has been very good about being transparent with these guys. They don't go back on their word very often. When they tell them something, they mean it. And I think they're going to be done at quarterback in 2025. If you absolutely need one, you can always go get a grad transfer out of the portal, take a walk on. There's a kid at Dorman by the name of Riley Scruggs who looks really good. You can.
Yeah, you had a story on him this week.
Preferred walk on or whatever in 2024. I probably wouldn't happen, but you never say never.
Absolutely. All right. Before we get into the final wrap up here, I do want to let you know that this may not be our last live show. In fact, we're hoping to plan more of these events. We got some things in the works. So please make sure you're following us on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram, YouTube channel as well. We'll let you know what's coming up. There's some opportunities where we're going to be doing this again, and we'll be breaking down some big-time football for the 2023 season. So please make sure you follow us and find out all the latest news and updates in terms of what we're going to be doing here at with the All Clemson Tigers show live edition. Are you guys like this? Does this live thing work for you?
Yeah, I like it, man.
Yeah, this is pretty fun.
I love it.
It's nice to see your faces in person instead of on a computer screen. Will's so beautiful. There's no reason we don't want to see him.
That's what makes it all worthwhile is just getting to see all of our beautiful faces and just to know how pretty we are.
All right, this is a chance
I am getting a sense of it's getting a little deep over here. So
it's getting weird.
Yeah.
We might be wrapping this up in a few minutes. I do want to open this up though to you, the listener out there. If you have some questions, hit us up with those right now. We can answer some of those. A little Q&A, some time for you to get your questions heard. In fact, Jason, we've got a question I think that you might could answer, or at least give us some insight into David Sanders, the offensive lineman. What do you know about him and where he stands with the Tigers?
Yeah, one of the top offensive linemen in the 2025 class. I think it was the first offer that Clemson sent out in this class, or the next class, to be honest. One of those kids that everybody's going to be after. You're just going to have some patience with him, man. We'll just have to see how it plays out. Still real early in the process with him. I think Clemson's absolutely in it, though. You talk about cultural fits and kids fitting with what Clemson wants. I think Sanders is that guy.
All right, we've got another one about defensive line. Now, from Russell. We appreciate Russell getting in tonight. In relation to defensive end, what's the take on Houston and London Merritt?
Two different classes. Edric Houston's 2024. Again, one of the best ends in this class. Long, athletic, powerful. He's got speed. Just everything you want in a pass rusher. Listen to the experts. They got him leaning towards Ohio State. The fact that Clemson has not moved on yet tells you they think they're still in it. That tells me he's telling them they're still in it. We'll see. Again, announcement coming August 22nd, I think it is. Still a good little ways to go. Assuming he doesn't make a decision well ahead of that announcement. We'll see if they can maybe get him back here for the cookout.
All right.
London Merritt, though.
Yeah.
Oh, man, I love that guy. I watched him work out at camp a couple weeks ago. Explosive first step. Going to need to add a little bit of bulk, but, man, he is so fast and powerful.
All right, you just talked about Houston. What about Gibson? That's a guy a lot of people have asked me about lately. What's the latest on him?
Gibson is a guy I thought Mike would commit as far back as the spring game. Was here visiting for the spring game, then was back for the official visit weekend. Thought he might be a guy that could possibly shut it down after that weekend and jump on board with Clemson, and not take any more visits. Didn't play out that way. He's been to Ohio State. Last weekend he was in Texas. Got some people in his ear pulling him towards Texas. Well, we'll see which side wins out at the end of the day. I still think when it's all said and done, Gibson's going to be cornerback take number 2 in this class.
Let's go ahead and answer a question for this year. Will Tink Kelly play wide receiver this year? And if he shows something in camp, or is he a DB only? Thanks, Data Racer 117 for getting in.
I think Tink's going to start out at wide receiver. He'll probably stay at wide receiver this year and then move to defensive back ahead of next year. So say that opens up a number at wide receiver for the 2024 class. I think only one's coming off the books after this season, receiver. So and they're taking 2 in this class. So Tink moving in 2024, that would be that second spot by my count.
All right. Good stuff there from Jason. Still time for you to get your questions in. We want to hear from you, and we'll answer everything we can. Look at that one. Michael Bentoncourt. Oh, interesting last name there.
Let's see.
Says the offense will be explosive. Raleigh's offense will open up a lot of scoring. They have talented receivers and tight ends. Interesting note there. Interesting name getting in.
Yeah.
We appreciate that.
I tend to agree.
All right. Is there anybody else, Jason, that, maybe because you guys spend a lot of time out there at camp the last few weeks there in June for Dabo Swinney's football camp. Anybody stand out that maybe no one's talking about? Is there anybody on your radar that you just, like anybody's talking about, but he could end up being a guy that Clemson's in on at some point, whether it's 25, 26, any thoughts?
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say nobody's talking about him, but the guy that really made an impression on me was 2025 offensive lineman Braden Jacobson. We saw him at the spring game. You pointed him out how big he was from the press box.
Yeah, I did. I said, who's that guy?
Well, beside him.
Yeah.
He's 6'8", well over 300 pounds already. His dad was a running back in the NFL, played for the Giants, if I recall correctly. But I think Clemson's in excellent shape with him. He's a guy that got an early offer from the Tigers. But again, 2025 guy, we'll see how it plays out.
All right. Unless we got anything else, would anybody like to share anything else? It's share time, Will. Do you have anything to share with us?
I'm just hungry. I can share that, I think, right?
All right, then I guess we better call it a night so Will can get some dinner. No, in all seriousness, we have another question there, Zach.
No, it's just a kind.
Bring a live show closer to the coast. I
Nice.
appreciate Michael requesting that. You never know where we might be. We're taking this thing on the road. We haven't decided how far.
If this guy right here is paying, I'm game. Let's
Quick
go.
drive from me.
Yeah, we might could do something. We might do something a little closer to the coastline at some point in the near future. Stay tuned.
Good food on the coastline, so I'll be happy.
Yeah. We'll get fed. That's all that matters right now. All right, let's go ahead and wrap things up. And I want to thank everybody for being a part of the show tonight. It really means a lot watching it. We want you to stay tuned. We got more of this coming. Great panel up here. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Zach, for getting everything up and running. And Will, thank you as well. Contributions from everybody. It really means a lot. EJ over there, we appreciate him.
Thank you, man.
And hey, thank you. And we thank Dockside for hosting us tonight. Dockside in Clemson. You ought to come by and see them. It's a really cool place. Got a lot going on over here. Retail's coming in more and more all the time. And we may be back out here again shortly. So make sure you stay tuned. We'll have more for that. But again, thanks everybody. Go to allclemsontigers.com and make sure you follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and hit the subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, even if you're not watching on YouTube, please go to our YouTube channel, All Clemson, and please hit that subscribe button to keep the All Clemson Tigers show going for you and giving you, as soon as we put a video out, you'll have it in your feeds. Make sure you subscribe and hit the like button as well. Thank you all for your comments and all the nice words. A lot of people had a lot of good things to say. We appreciate that. We said we try to get this thing in an hour, and we're going to get it in just a tad under an hour. So I want to thank everybody for being a part of it. Gentlemen, until next time, for Jason, for Zach, for Will, I'm Brad. Thank you for your time tonight. Hope you have a wonderful week, and we'll see you again soon.